Hi everyone, welcome to my next flip through. I just started making a weird noise with my chair. Hi everyone, I am 10 days into the third 30-day creative sprint challenge from this awesome guide. I definitely would check it out if you're interested in trying to be more creative. It's been really helpful to me these past, I guess we're going on to like 40 days here. So this creative sprint is all about limits, and I'm actually really pretty inspired by limits. I think a lot of my creativity comes from having to sort of live and communicate within certain limits in my life. So on this first day, I limited myself to at first, just to creating one of these artist trading cards. So I just glued an artist trading card onto the back of this page, and then I cut it out. And I'm pretty excited with how it came out, actually. I'm into this globe flower sort of sci-fi fantasy steampunk project that I'm not supposed to be working on because I have so many other things, but yeah, I've been working on that, and I did want to show you some of the other artist trading cards that I've been making, and I think I'm going to put these up on Etsy, probably as like art originals, I guess, because I don't really know who wants to trade with me or how I can do that on Etsy. So artist trading cards are basically just, it's like a card that's a particular size. It's the same size as a playing card, and artists make them, and then they'll go to conventions and like swap, or there's like online swaps. And I kind of started getting into this because I was doing these poems on playing cards. Like, I think this was the first one maybe that I did. And I guess it's like a set maybe. And it's just kind of fun to see like how much you can fit on one little card. And I got these little sleeves to protect them, especially these because they have that typing paper that's pretty easy to fall off. This is one with Mary Shelley, who also kind of looks like the Frankenstein's monster, and this moth thing here. I was going to try and do a bunch about pill bugs, like scientific facts. This one's about how they actually expel ammonia. They also have blue blood, which is interesting. And then this was kind of when I was really focusing on some of my drawing skills. So these are two cards that I copied from Linda Berry's illustrations. And I was going to continue to do sort of like this Who is Inspirational to Me series. But obviously I kind of stopped doing that. I'm really good at starting things, not so great at finishing them. I'll put that in there later. And then the ones I've been working on lately are from the poetry comic that I'm working on, which is about me. So this is actually a photocopy of me when I was a little kid. There's a bird in there, so there's a bird, and there's roaches, which is like a whole nother story. But in my poem, I call people that I love roaches, and then all of a sudden the roaches, they just wanted to be with me. And you can see they actually nibbled away at some of these cards. So yeah, that's really exciting. And this one I haven't got very far on. I just glued a wine bottle label on there. So I don't know what I'll do with that. Anyway, artist trading cards are a lot of fun, and I'm definitely going to be doing more of those. The comic has a lot of them in there, so yeah, that's a thing. And then this next day, I was pretty inspired actually just by, this is cut out from the creative sprint book about this electricity and how people kind of are like, oh, I don't believe in magic or whatever, but how electricity and other scientific things like sort of seem like magic. So I wrote a little bit about that. The next day was to do all white on a page. And I was having, I think this was sort of like the beginning of a rough week. Like school was starting or has started now. And I was just finding it hard to find time to work. So I was able to put some stuff down. I ended up talking about Armageddon, which it's like I write about the pandemic, or I write about like trauma from my past. So that's not always so exciting. The next day, I sketched out this sort of pattern of a mushroom. It was about patterns, but I was just not really feeling it. And so instead I wrote about this quote that I found in this mystery magazine that I will tell you about someday. And this quote from Nietzsche that said, "The way to one's own heaven always leads through the voluptuousness of one's own hell." And this article that I was reading was talking about how one of the early heresies was that there's some happiness in hell and that hell might actually have limits. And this was kind of a weird little breakthrough for me, is that when I think about maybe my situation that I'm trapped in, if I feel trapped or in a hell, I do tend to think about it as limitless. And I also think that some of what I've gone through in my past, it's just something that's never going to end or get better or whatever. But those things have limits, and propagating the myth that they have no limits just really isn't helpful at all. What in life has no limits? Everything has limits. I think I just wrote more this day about just what was happening. I want to make a erasure poem out of here. I forgot that, so maybe I'll go back. This day was kind of fun, and it was about, you made a list of the monsters that lived under your bed, so I made a list of some childhood monsters, and I ended up writing about that story again. And I'm really into this idea that the love affair between the mostly human and mostly machine individuals in the story, that they discover interchangeable parts within maybe just one at first and then both. I don't know. I'm just really interested into this interchangeability thing. So on the back of this little this is a card from the shop that was damaged, so I took it home. And on top of him having this mechanical globe flower eye, I think he has these little gears that can be changed for other parts. I learned about a moon bow, which is a thing, from this postcard. That was pretty cool. And then on the next day, I got kind of crafty. I don't know, I wanted to be crafty, I guess. And I loved this photo and this bell tower that's submerged. And you were supposed to limit yourself just to words out of a magazine on this day, which is very helpful in a major way that I used to do prompts. But I just sort of let this idea that I got from the news of convalescent plasma, which briefly was the cure for, not the cure, but they thought it was a really great therapy for coronavirus, which now I guess already they're saying not so much. An opal ended up being in the poem. My coworker gave me some ephemera, and this was one of it. And so an opal ended up being in there. And I think this might belong to that steampunk story as well. In my version, this not coronavirus convalescent plasma, but convalescent plasma they discover that it actually like causes like euphoria, and I think maybe related to like kind of like a party drug or like chemsex, where it enhances like sexual pleasure. And in my story also, I think the convalescent plasma, like it comes from either, I think it comes from like only the mostly machine people, but I'm not really sure of all the details yet. I don't know that I'm ever really going to write that story. A story like this has never really stayed with me for that long. And the characters in my mind are very undeveloped. And I think that that's a bad sign for writing fiction. It's going to be if it's anything, it's going to be like a story poem anyway. These 2 days, school was just really bearing down on me, and I wasn't able to do a whole lot. I just put this cute sticker that my boss, I guess, gave me. And I read about how an asteroid was supposed to hit the Earth before Election Day. And then on the 8th day, you were supposed to turn something inside out. And so I turned this envelope inside out. And at first it was like a window onto this blue print that I made. But now it's got this vellum that I dug out of the trash. And then I put in, I really liked this slide. It's from like, I think it's from like a Disney resort. I don't know that there's any way. So yeah, I wrote a little bit about being at the pool. We're skipping ahead. That was day 10. On this day, I tried to write about a daddy long legs who has a daughter and builds a lemonade stand. And I actually like started writing, and then I think I like went for a run, which I shouldn't have because I've hurt my back really bad. And then I saw a lemonade stand, and I wanted to like continue, but I didn't end up continuing. So then the next day, I kind of did the same thing. In the morning, I glued all these strips onto this scenery, and then I thought, oh, I'll get to it later. And I did get to it much, much later. And I started writing about one of my old English teachers that I found on Facebook, because he liked something from one of my other teachers that I was already friends with. And that was like a really great experience. But I guess that leads a little bit more. Like that really stuck with me. So then the next day, I think I got a late start that day too, and I had to like get to work, which is not a thing for me. Like I usually write in the morning, every morning, get it done in the morning, or else it won't get done. And I just haven't been able to do that, partly because I've been teaching at 8 o'clock via Zoom. So I started writing about being at the pool, and I was like, oh, I really want to make myself a Manhattan. So I made myself a Manhattan. I printed this little picture of it. But, oh my God, so my English teacher, who I connected with on Facebook, he messaged me and he was like, I looked at your Facebook page and I hope you're very proud of your accomplishments. I am. And this was like he was my teacher in like 1993, and he's been retired for like 6 years. He taught for like 38 years. And like he was telling me he was with his partner for 23 years. And I was like, well, that's how long ago you taught me. And it's just so hard to write those kind of poems. Like when the feeling is so strong and so real, and like you want it to be a good poem, like about like a really meaningful person, I feel like that's just super hard. But I do really like that I wrote about him on this day and on this day. And I hope that this poem does go somewhere. I was reminded that we read Arsenic and Old Lace in his class. So yeah, so that's the 10 days. Okay, so my phone just fell off of the hot dog things that hold it up. Are we still recording? Yes, we're still recording. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I did really quickly want to tell you about some other projects that I've been working on and that I'm going to try and put up on Etsy tomorrow because I have the day off. So if you like my junk journal, I've made a couple others, and there's some on Etsy already there for sale. Not all of them have, you might have noticed that has some like adult content in it. Not all of them have that. So there's definitely like a thing that says they are. This one I made from an old album cover. I really like it, except it's kind of cracked right here. It's full of pages that I've been doing different prints on. I'll make a longer video of that. And then I also have this one made from an old artist sketchbook, and it's got some prints and some unique papers that I found. I love these national park things here. Check out my other videos for a flip through of this one, and check out my Etsy shop. And then I'm still making paper, which I'm super excited about. I made this paper out of bearded lichen, and I actually kind of forgot that I had this. Like, it's been probably more than 10 days, and I really like this bearded lichen paper. And then I also made some with just regular lichen and some packing materials, old whiskey bottle labels, and maps. So check out my Etsy shop for those. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching my video. Thank you to my patrons who support me on Patreon. I wouldn't be able to make this art stuff if it weren't for you, because I'd have to be working even more than I'm already working with my 2 jobs. So thank you, everyone. And I will see you in another 10 days. Thanks. Oh God, Matt, it's not really your day today. One of the best things that I like about what happened in these past 10 days, oh my God. 10 days. Junk, blah, blah, blah.